Hey, are you tired of the struggle in cold calling for solar sales? And what if I told you that there's actually a new way, a new method where you can turn the coldest leads into the warmest prospects who actually want to hear what you have to say? So stay tuned, because today we're revolutionizing cold calling with solar sales. Hey, I get it, man. I talk to so many solar sales pros, man, myself included, and we've all been there, right? We've all hit that same wall. We're dialing for hours and hours and hours, only to face rejection after rejection. And then sometimes when we finally get that prospect on the phone who does engage in the conversation, it feels like we're talking to a brick wall. Man, it's frustrating, isn't it? It feels like you're like constantly trying to break through, only to get shut down. But man, here's the thing. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. But if you keep doing the old way, you're looking at endless stress, wasted hours, and no commissions. There's definitely a new way, a new era, and a much brighter path for you. Man, and you might think changing my approach is tough and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Man, look, I get it, I hear you, but what if this shift could change your sales game entirely? Introducing, man, the new era of cold calling for solar sales, where it's not about pushing your pitch onto the prospects, right? But inviting and initiating conversation with mutual agreements where they're actively listening and excited, right, to have that conversation and to listen to your pitch. This new method reduces all stress. You are only engaging in genuinely interested prospects, again, who want to listen to what you have to say. But man, most importantly, it is going to double, if not triple, your sit rate. So think about this: more appointments, less resistance, more sales equals more peace of mind. All right, so here's how it works. So from now on, you're going to only use permission-based openers that allow the prospects to A, feel respected, and then B, feel heard. We're not going to look at objections as something to tackle, but really, man, they're an invitation to really build trust, build rapport, and actually give value to the prospect. But let's take a look at one of my modules in my new course, Cold Call Solar Pro. Let's dive into actually what that means and how you guys can apply it. And I'm going to give you guys 2-liners really to kick this thing off with some immediate value right out the gate, right? I do want to remind you guys, the goal of a cold call is to have a conversation, to qualify the prospect, not to set appointments. I think we forget that the close, the actual appointment, is just an extension of what's said. We jump onto the call, we're in the middle of that conversation, we get a ton of adrenaline, right? Whether we're on the phone or at the doors, and we're so anxious to set that appointment. I got to get that date and time, I got to get them, I got to book them, I got to confirm them, then I got to get another one, right? Well, we forget, like, hey, we've got this person here. This conversation is what we're here for, and we want to prime them for the close. We want to set the best expectations of what the close is and how this thing is going to look like if it makes sense for them. It's all about quality over quantity. I literally have guys who set 5 appointments in a whole week, and all of them show up and close. And I literally have guys who set 22 plus appointments in a week, and like 3 of them close. Once you understand a lot of the principles that I'm going to cover in this section and in other sections of this course, you'll understand how that's possible and how some adjustments that you can make very easily are going to give you the biggest differences in the world. And mainly, we're going to start here with just getting permission to pitch at the beginning of the call, right? This is right when the homeowner answers the phone. Again, if you've heard me train before, I'm really big and I just despise how pretty much everybody else does it. Prospect answers the phone, and then the other person's like, hey, this is such and such with ABC Solar. We know that you guys filled out a form before and we're calling for blah, 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 right? Interrupt their day and you just start vomiting all over their table. Like, it's such a turnoff, right? No one is going to respond well to that. And you have to deal with so much more rejection than is necessary. And the most important thing for any salesperson in any sales environment is their confidence and their energy. I want you to think about a salesperson who has low confidence and low energy. What can they do? Absolutely nothing. Now, flip side, what can a salesperson do with high confidence and high energy, right? Let's say they don't have a ton of information, but they have very high confidence and very high energy. When I say high energy, I don't mean like they just had 10 Red Bulls and they're like cranked up. I'm not talking about the guy who's super extroverted. Energy that feels great. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about what you're doing. Good energy. When we can figure out how to keep our energy high throughout the day, call after call after call, conversation after conversation after conversation. Last longer, we can transfer that confidence and that good energy into the phone and build rapport, build a masterful connection, build a quality conversation with that person to where they can know, like, and trust us, and then set that appointment that is actually excited to show up because we left an impression on that person, right? The appointment, people associate the appointment with a feeling that they got from the person on the phone. If you don't leave them with any feeling whatsoever, if they have the slightest inconvenience to their day, just anything, or they're tired, or they got in a fight with their spouse, or something happened at work, they're not going to show up for your appointment. They're not going to show up for your call because you left them with no impression. And then they had, again, one tiny bump in the road. They wanted to watch the game. They just simply don't feel like it. They rather go for a walk. Like, they rather do anything else. But when you built some form of a relationship, you made them feel good. You guys laughed. You shared a story, right? You find commonalities in some form or fashion. Then all of a sudden they're like, man, I like talking to that rich guy. He was funny. Guy sounds kind of smart. He was also from the same city as me. He likes the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. Like, he made me feel good. So now I remember when I think about the appointment tomorrow at 6, I associate the appointment with the feeling that he gave me, right? So before we can even get to that point, we got to make sure that people actually want to listen to what we have to say, which brings me back to my original point. Let's get permission to pitch before we start talking. I'm going to give you guys 2-liners to be able to do that, right? Let's go. So, permission to pitch statement number 1. Hey, Lisa, this is Richard with Revis. Hey, I know you weren't expecting this cold call out of the blue, so I'll be super fast. Do you mind if I steal just 30 seconds to tell you I'm specifically calling you right now, Lisa? And then you can let me know from there if you want to keep chatting or not, right? I'll read that one more time. Hey, Lisa, this is Richard with Revis. Hey, I know you weren't expecting this cold call out of the blue, so I'll be super fast. Do you mind if I steal just 30 seconds to tell you specifically why I'm calling you right now, Lisa? And then you can let me know if you want to continue chatting from there. So let's break down what actually happened there. So number 1, I'm addressing the lead as her first name, and I'm immediately getting out my name and my company. So basically, who am I and where I'm calling from, right? But then I'm also going to pattern interrupt and say that it is a cold call, which, again, most people just simply don't do that. You get a call from a debt collector, a bill collector, or some other cold call agency. They don't say that. They just go right into their terrible script, and they just start vomiting all over the place, right? Well, if you're going to vomit, ask for permission to do it, right? That's what's happening here. So next we're going to go, hey, I know you weren't expecting this cold call out of the blue, so I'll be super fast. Do you mind if I steal just 30 seconds to tell you I'm specifically calling you right now, Lisa? And then you can let me know if you want to keep chatting from there, right? So I say just 30 seconds. I'm using his or her name again, which is building a subconscious form of trust because I am identifying them by their first name. And then I'm putting the ball in their court. Hey, this is a cold call. I just need 30 seconds to tell you why I'm specifically calling you. And then I'm using their first name again. And then I'm saying, hey, and then you can let me know if you want to keep talking from there. So curiosity should take over right there, right? So if somebody called me and they're like, hey, Rich, hey, man, I know I called you out of the blue. Do you mind if I steal just 30 seconds of your time? I know you're super busy, but I'll let you know in 30 seconds why I'm specifically calling you, Rich. And then you can let me know from there if you want to keep chatting or not. I'd be like, damn, it's like an itch you got to scratch at that point. It's like, I want to know what it's about because of the way they just said it. And they put the ball totally in my court and they were totally transparent. They weren't arguing. They weren't trying to use trickery words. They didn't talk about this net metering and these other different things that people use to basically say anything other than why they're actually calling or why you guys are actually at their front door, right? So this statement, guys, is huge, huge, huge. Let's roll into number 2. Hey, Rich, sorry it took so long to get to you. Then I'm going to pause for the response. This is Rich, man. Hey, thanks for taking the call. I've been trying to get in touch with you, but this is a cold call, Rich. Do you want to hang up now or can I borrow 30 seconds to tell you why I called? So another good one, I'll read it again. Hey, Rich, sorry it took me so long to get to you. Then I'm going to pause. This is one of my most famous openers. This is Rich, man. Hey, thanks for taking the call. I have been trying to get in touch with you, but this is a cold call, Rich. Do you want to hang up now or can I borrow just 30 seconds to tell you why I called? Notice the tonality and how I go up and down and how I pause. You guys have to do it that exact same way if you're going to use an opener like this because it makes the opener. You can't sound unconfident. You can't speak low and, hey, do you want to borrow 30 seconds or do you want to hang? That's not going to work. You've got to be confident. You've got to have the right tonality. You've got to have the right pauses. And this thing is like sniping from 100 yards away. It is very tactical, right? So we're calling them by the first name again, getting trust from the bat. Sorry it took me so long to get to you. Then we're going to pause so we can let the curiosity peak for them to go, who is this or what's this about, right? Now all of a sudden they're leaning in, they're listening. And that's what we need to get them to do. We need them to listen before we go into our pitch. So I'm not going to go into my pitch, but I need to tell them that this is a cold call, but I just need 30 seconds. And if they don't want to give me that 30 seconds, fair. I won't call them again, and I won't waste my time. Guys, listen, this is so important that you do this, because without doing this, you get burnt out and you feel like something's wrong. You feel like you want to use a different script. Your manager doesn't know what he's talking about. Maybe you need to get out of solar. What happens is we watch sales trainers walk around with camera crews or have camera crews in their office, and they try to teach you guys certain things that look good as entertainment, but when you go to use them by yourself with no camera crews around, they don't work the same, right? So you have to have a process that you can do every single time, that you can rely on, that does not affect your energy and your confidence. And this is the only way you do that. Because if I'm getting permission to pitch before I go into every conversation, guess what? I don't have to worry about, man, as I'm setting this appointment, are they actually going to show up? Do they really care about what I'm saying right now? How bad does it feel when you're booking an appointment and you feel like, man, this is kind of slippery. I don't know if they're going to show up or not. Think about how much more time you could not waste if you could only talk to people who want to talk to you, right? And yes, you're saying 30 seconds, but no one is actually going to stand there with the stopwatch. You're going to say 30 seconds, but then they're going to go on and you're going to stand there for 8 to 9 to 10 minutes, build some rapport, share stories, tell them what close is going to be like, and then you're going to go on and get a solid set. But guys, you have to be transparent. You have to be authentic. If you don't want to be pushy, if you don't want to stand there or on the phone and try to use all these trickery words, right? This is how you maintain pace and be a professional, elite person who can go up after call without getting mentally beat up, feeling like, damn, what I'm doing isn't working. This one simple tactic. So, hey, use these 2 permission-based openers. There's other openers in the script as well, but the thought process behind it, getting that permission, hey, just 30 seconds. If it doesn't make sense from there, I promise to never call you again. Would you be opposed to just 30 seconds here, right? That is really, really, really hard to turn down, because curiosity is going to be so high. And then would you be opposed to just 30 seconds here? It's a negative, negative. It's easier for someone to say no than it is yes, right? Use it. I promise you it works, guys. And then lastly, on the permission-based opener, as we dive in to a cold call pro course, don't be Rambo, be James Bond, right? A lot of you might be too young to know who Rambo is. Rambo is a character. His name is John Rambo, from a movie from like the 80s or 90s or something like that. There's a ton of different versions of James Bond. So hopefully you're familiar with James Bond. But if not, go look them up. Go watch both movies. There's actually a lot of James Bond movies, but nonetheless, the reason that I say that is Rambo is a character in a movie who's known for just being aggressive and direct and just like very reactive emotionally. Just in the photo that's on the screen, he's using a machine gun, right? In my opinion, that's how a lot of guys hit the phones and they hit the doors. They hit the phones, they buy a big lead list from a vendor, they just upload the CSV and they just start calling, and they are saying something different on every call. They don't track their KPIs. They don't know if their phone numbers are clean. They're not trained. They don't know how to overcome objections. They use this script here and that script there. This guy said he did X amount of dollars, so they get his script. And they're just all over the place. They're prospecting all over the place. They're saying different things all over the place. Right? So don't want to be Rambo. In this scenario, Rambo he would be considered the pushy, aggressive type of person on the call. James Bond, on the other hand, he's sharp, he's sophisticated, he's intelligent, he moves with patience, he uses his wit and charm, he's strategic. He doesn't rush into situations, right? But instead he gathers the information and understands his environment. And again, uses that wit and that intelligence to navigate basically complex scenarios like a conversation or a sales process. So you want to learn how to be like that. You want to learn how to be more strategic, how to use psychology, how to use KPIs and metrics, and how to do the same things every single time time so that you can run a marathon and not a sprint, so that you can survive season after season in solar. When everybody else is doing this and having a solar coaster, you're just steady chugging along, right? You sometimes it might not, your axis might be lower, but when you really zoom out, you're still going up and up and up. And the only way you do that is by being a professional, getting trained, investing in yourself like you did when you bought this course, and then doing the same things over and over and over, and measuring them against the metrics that guarantee success. And that's what we're going to talk about in this course. So again, hey, I hope this section was valuable to you guys, man. If nothing else, if you watch no more videos from this session, this alone will have you setting far greater appointments. I guarantee it, because you are now only talking to people who actually gave you permission to pitch them. Now they are totally listening. Before you started doing this, it was like 50-50 chance on whether they were listening or not. So game changer, guys. I hope it was helpful. I can't wait to see you guys in the next module. So now that you've seen the power of transforming your cold calling approach, are you ready to take your solar sales to new heights in 2024? Then you need to dive into our Cold Calling Solar Pro course, where there's modules from everything from how to get leads, multiple permission-based openers. I revised my $100 million cold call script for 2024. So it's completely new, nothing that I've ever said on YouTube. Again, guys, it's totally brand new. And then everything I teach in it is backed by psychology. Right now is gonna be the lowest price that it's ever gonna be. And there's no one else on YouTube or anywhere with a credible background who's actually running a solar company that makes actual money, who's actually done the sales, giving away the same type of secrets that I am. Let's make 2024 your best year in solar. I can't wait for you guys to join us. Let's go.